Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our reading through the Tanak night of the 10th of June, 2026. We'll be reading our 5 chapters tonight. We'll be reading out of 2 Kings, chapters 11 through 15. We're going to read each chapter and break it down, rightly divided. Okay. You can go to our YouTube channel, the Prophets of Awakening, and check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get the meat out. These videos that lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you listening to and hearing, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. Okay. This channel is a non-Messianic channel. For those that don't know, we deal with the Tanak and the Torah. Tanakh is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, from Genesis to Malachi, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior, our Redeemer, and our Deliverer, the Lord of hosts. Okay? This channel was created to aid and assist all Hebrews who are waking up to their true identity in these last days, in these final hours, and they are understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our reading through the Tanakh class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, a prayer, psalms. We have some current events, some need-to-know information. Then we open it up for anybody with questions, any comments, dialogue, or any testimonies. And then our topic for discussion is we're going to be dealing with the data centers, but we're going to kind of go into it a little more because it's a critical information that is going on with this situation, and we as Hebrew Israelites need to know it. Okay, so we're doing our scripture reading, which is, like I said, we'll be reading out of 2 Kings. We'll be reading chapters 11 through 15. We're going to read each chapter and break it down, talk about it. Okay, and then we'll pick a scripture like we normally do at the end of all our classes. We're going to read that scripture, and then we're going to break it down, talk about it, then we'll close out. Okay, this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great mercy and your great power and your wisdom, and we tarry waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people Israel. Oh Lord, you have given us insight into the scriptures of our forefathers, and you, oh Lord, have directed us to who you are and your role in the goings on of heaven and earth. When we come this day, doubtless that you will appear and that you will gather your nation from among these wicked Gentiles. Okay. Tarry not, O Lord, for the latter days are here, and we are waiting and we are watching for you. Peace be unto you. Okay. Read the song right quick. Okay. Okay. I'll read Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd. It's the Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still water. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, and thy rod and thy staff, thou comfortest me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Okay, so that was Psalm 23. So I remember coming up in the church, Baptist church, and engulfing all the lies that was being told to me as a young Hebrew Israelite, and thinking that this is JC. But I want to shine a light on one verse with the understanding that we have now. We know that David is not talking about these Psalms is not about no you can't There's not no dual meaning to it. It's David's. These songs are David's relationship with the Lord of hosts. David is the anointed one. David is the Messiah, and we know that because of in First Samuel, he sent Samuel to go anoint David with oil. He literally poured the oil out of Exodus 30 on David. You know, he had it in the horn and poured it on him. This never happened to JC. So, and my point is this: that's a statue in Israel when it comes to king and it comes to the anointed one that the Most High has chosen out of David's lineage. Okay, so we see right here. Let's look at verse down, verse 5. So, like I said, they want you to think that this is some prophecy in the future about JC. But David tells us in verse 5, Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of my enemy. Thou anointest my head with oil, and my cup runneth over. What are you talking about? What Samuel did? Samuel anointed, poured oil on him. Then verse 6, surely, because of that, because of what Samuel did, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord. Okay? That had nothing to do with no JC or no future prophecy. The oil was poured on David's head, and because of that, David has been sealed by the Lord. Like I said, he's the anointed one, the Mashiach. Okay, got anything on that?
Shalom, everybody. Shalom, brother Leonard. I just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
say, brother, yes, sir, brother Leonard, in verse 5 in the study Bible. It's funny how they even put the trickery in there, because the little letter
Mm-hmm.
by it take you to Luke, take you to the book of Luke, when it's
Right.
referencing, I've been anointed. But
So what's that? What's the verse again?
it says Luke 7:46.
Can you read that?
Right, yes, sir. I'll get that real quick. Okay, so it says, and so it says, I'm sorry, brother. Okay, and thou givest me no kiss, but this woman, since the time I came in, has not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil thou did not anoint, but this woman hath anointed my feet with ointment.
So see what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It can't be the Messiah. That's a joke. Okay. So with that being said, you got anything else on that?
Shalom, no, sir.
Okay. So let's see what we're doing. Yeah. So we'll go to our current events. We'll play each video like we normally do, and we'll talk about it. Where on earth the USA just did something that is going to change money quite literally forever. I'm talking about the Genius Act here. Let's get into it. We're going to just get right into the meat of this video because I need you to understand that most people are too hyper focused on Bitcoin. Others watch the stock market. I enjoy the stock market, watch it, and hold certain ETFs and companies as well. But while the public remains distracted by market volatility, political headlines, regulators across the United States of America have changed monetary resources forever under the Genius Act. Federal agencies, including the FDIC and NCUA, are now actively implementing regulations that are tied to the Genius Act. This legislation is designed to create a national framework for stablecoin issuers. And for many Americans, this may just sound like another obscure crypto story, like, oh, the next Bitcoin.
But this is increasingly becoming a banking story, an access story, a digital ID story, a story that kind of may remind you of the book of Revelations where it talks about the mark of the beast. So, first, let's get some definitions in order. What on earth is a stable coin? Well, a stable coin is a digital token designed to maintain a stable value, usually pegged to the US dollar. Unlike Bitcoin, which can rise and fall dramatically in a single day, stable coins with that word, that root there, stable, are built to remain consistent and worth approximately $1. For example, PayPal already has a stable coin. Think of them as digital dollars that can move across the internet. Companies like Circle and Tether have already created hundreds of billions of dollars worth of these assets. In fact, global stablecoin market capitalization has now surpassed, get this, 300 billion, according to the recent industry reports. The appeal is simple. Nearly instant transfers, 24/7 access, cross-border payments, lower transactional costs, and reduced reliance on traditional banking. And for someone sending money from Chicago to, say, a Tanzania or a Kenya, the implications can be enormous. Now, this is why the Genius Act matters in all of this. The guiding and establishing of the National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act, commonly known as the Genius Act. You may want to get your pen and paper out here. You may want to run that back so that you understand the system that is coming, the system that is here. Was signed into law in 2025, okay? It's a federal framework for stablecoin issuance. The FDIC has proposed rules governing reserve requirements, capital standards, redemption obligations, and risk management requirements for stablecoin issuers. Now, the National Credit Union Administration has also proposed rules for credit unions seeking licenses to issue payment to stablecoins. And so, in plain English, you're like, girl, I don't know what that means. Here's what it means. Washington is no longer asking whether stablecoins are valuable and should exist. Washington is implementing them into all of their banking systems across the board. I'm going to remind you that, hey, PayPal already has a stablecoin. Visa and MasterCard are planning for stablecoins, okay? And the banking industry, they are paying attention. But I want you to think, when was the last time we saw a huge banking industry shift like this? Maybe the gold rush? $90. Yeah, it costs $80 to go out and go to dinner at Red Lobster for just one person or two people. But hey, it's fine because, you know, it just happens slowly. But the inflation in America is off the chains. This is one reason adoption has accelerated in parts of Latin America, South America, Africa, Southern Africa, all regions of Africa, Asia, and beyond. But this is the risk that nobody is telling you about. The word stable can create a false sense of urgency. Stable coins are not bank deposits. The recent FDIC proposals made clear that payment stablecoins themselves do not receive federal deposit insurance protection. So how you would see the FDIC insured on your bank account? Oh, bank account. While I'm speaking bank account, why don't you go ahead and get a free $25 to $75, depending on which link you use in the description, for Wise or SoFi Invest. These are investment platforms or international transfer platforms, and there are even more platforms where those come from. That's just the beginning, but you should check out the link in the description and get your free money for your international bank accounts, so you don't have to have Wells Fargo sending you a message like your account is frozen. Like, bro, skip that. That's crazy. But your tickets are higher because the Iran war is back. Like we've been saying, we said this ceasefire is fake. There's no peace. There's peace, and then sudden destruction as prophesied by the Messiah in the book of Matthew. That's just the reality of the situation. That's the reality of the system. And if you are someone that the coming years may determine whether stablecoins become a niche technology or the future foundation of new global payments. For expats, travelers, retirees, remote workers, and international families, that deserves so much of your attention. Help your kids understand the financial system. Help your kids understand economics and geopolitics, subjects that they told us in the Black community weren't that important because you should just, learn football and go sing somewhere. No, let's get into the difficult subject matters, the difficult questions, the difficult conversations.
Okay, what you think? Let's stay going.
Shalom, brother. And I'm not. I know it's digital currency and all that, and but I'm not sure exactly how it's supposed to work. But I just feel like all the digital currency, no matter what method it is, I still feel like it's all part of that. Like to just have control of all the finances. Period. Though.
Right, it was a Ponzi scheme.
Right.
Like I said, all this money, all these different blockchain, and all this stuff is going to be used. Me saying this, when I understand what's going on, that it's going to be used to bring down the whole global system. When they actually get implemented, it's going to bring down the whole global system because it's going to actually go back to gold. Everything else is going to be like Marx Nix. Like I said, when they go into the emergency, they got a timeline for that. Okay. So with that being said, gotta go to this is my next one. I thought this is pretty interesting. Okay.
So I don't know how many of you guys have been following what's going on with the World Cup. Obviously, it's starting tomorrow or the day after. It's starting very soon. Okay. And it's a mess. It is so chaotic. They failed at every level hosting this thing in the United States. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating for the entire country. So here's Ben of Midas Touch laying this out for us. The title is Trump Instantly Ruins World Cup as Teams Arrive. Listen to this. Here we go.
Donald Trump is destroying the FIFA World Cup before it even begins. We're now learning that the Trump regime has banned a Somalian referee, someone who's known as the top referee in Africa, simply because this referee was from Somalia. Donald Trump and his regime continue to treat the teams that are traveling to the United States for the World Cup horribly. The Senegal team that arrived was treated awfully with security, basically giving them cavity searches. The Uzbekistan team was treated horribly. The Trump regime has basically banned major groups of foreign reporters, and when foreign reporters are allowed in, they're given a visa that basically doesn't let them travel to Canada or Mexico and then come back to the United States, and the games are in Canada, Mexico, and the United States. This is turning into a massive disaster, and it's in stark contrast to what we're seeing in Mexico, where they've got mariachi bands that are greeting teams that are arriving in Mexico, and they're getting a hero's welcome in Mexico while the Trump regime is treating them horribly. And now we've also learned that ICE and Border Patrol will be ramping up their efforts and attacks, I should really be calling them, outside of these stadiums for the World Cup. And the Customs and Border Patrol are going to be engaging in even more vile tactics when people are arriving from foreign countries. We're learning about fans who are unable to arrive here to the United States. There are multiple countries where the United States is outright just banning fans from showing up. And then where there are countries that are allowed to have their fans show up, they are being blocked significantly in the visa process. I mean, on average, a 40 to 50% denial rate of visas from a list of countries that have a lot of teams playing in this World Cup. Let's just go through the data piece by piece. And I mean, look, you have also New York City Mayor Mamdani and New York Governor Hochul, one of the host sites of the World Cup. They're calling out the Trump regime for engaging in this migration harassment right now. It's like the worst fears are coming true, but this is what we predicted. A lot of people said, not for the World Cup. It would be different. Donald Trump knows the whole world is looking at what's happening here. Maybe he'll realize this is a sporting event and he won't try to destroy it. No, Donald Trump is going to try to destroy it. He is a destroyer. That's what he does. Let's go through the receipts right here. I think Dropsite does a good summary. The World Cup is here, but not everyone is welcome. As the FIFA World Cup gets underway on U.S. soil, a pattern of visa denials and border incidents is casting a massive dark shadow on the tournament. For example, the Iraqi team, their striker Ayman Hussein was held for nearly 7 hours at Chicago's O'Hare Airport.
Oh my God, man. They are the absolute worst of this country. That's what this regime is. They are the worst of this country. And by the way, everybody predicted this would happen. when you look at ICE and what they're doing mass kidnappings and abductions and human trafficking, and there's no due process, and over thousands of people are missing, and at least 40 people died in their custody, and they're doing slavery at their detention camps, which are really concentration camps, and you have criminals joining ICE, and they're assaulting grandmas and shooting priests in the face with tear gas and tear gassing babies and running over people with cars. And you look at this, you look at what they're doing, and you go, there's no way that a country that's running this fascist immigration regime is gonna, like, what, suddenly be like all humanitarian and welcoming when the World Cup happens here and people from around the world want to travel here to watch their teams? Not a chance, bro. Not a chance. South Africans. What does that tell you? When the refugee program goes, no black people, no brown people, only white South Africans with fucking beer bellies. Okay, what does that tell you? It is white nationalism to a T. That's what it is. And that's exactly what this reaction is to the World Cup as well. Let's keep going.
The team's photographer was denied entry outright over what U.S. Customs and Border Protection described as, quote, vetting concerns, with no further details provided. Iraq is making its first World Cup appearance in 40 years, and that's how the U.S. is treating them. Morocco, at least 90 fans from two major supporters groups were denied U.S. visas ahead of the tournament, most under a clause citing doubts about their intention to return home, despite documented travel histories to Russia, 2018, Qatar, 2022, and the Paris Olympics. Some have lost.
Well, if this is how you're going to throw your middle fingers up to the world, then don't fucking host it. It's literally the World Cup. Like, what do you just want Americans going to the fucking games? And by the way, they probably do. They probably only want fucking Epstein billionaires going to the games too, because when you look at the ticket prices, that's all who could fucking afford it.
Take a look at countries that have a U.S. visa rejection rate of over 40%. Senegal, Ghana, Congo, Iran, Jordan, Cape Verde, Uzbekistan, Algeria, Haiti, Egypt, and Ecuador. And that's in addition, I might add,
what do those countries have in common?
to countries that have outright bans. So if you're from Haiti, Iran, Ivory Coast, Senegal, you're not allowed to even show up. Fully banned right there.
Oh.
Also, as it relates to the Iranian football team, the United States is refusing to allow the Iranian football team to actually stay in the United States. Despite the Iranian football team having 3 games in the United States, they're forced to stay in Mexico, and then they're allowed into the United States just for their game, and they have to immediately leave. A lot of these right-wing neocon groups that are working with Rubio are saying that the Iranian football team, get this, is part of a weapon of mass distraction, nuclear threat against the United States.
Okay, what you think? These nut buggers, boy.
Right, yes, sir. It's a perfect time for them to send a clear message.
Oh yeah, they should know. They showing their true colors right here. If you had any doubts about it, here you go, right here. Ain't that something?
Right, and yes, sir. And Brother Leonard, I seen a referee. I think he was from Somalia, but either way, I know he the referee of the year this year
Right.
in soccer, and they wouldn't let him get on the plane or whatever.
It's crazy, man. That's straight up racism now.
Right.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, let's check this out. This is some need to know information.
There is a line in the book of Isaiah that most readers treat as ancient poetry. They read it quickly. They nod at the weight of the imagery. And they move on. The line is this: Woe to Assyria, the rod of my anger, the staff in whose hand is my indignation. Stop there. That is not a poet's metaphor. That is one of the most theologically dangerous sentences in the entire Hebrew Bible. Because what Isaiah is saying, what God himself is saying, is that the most brutal empire the ancient world had ever seen was not acting on its own. It was acting on his instruction. The Assyrian Empire did not simply rise to power. It did not defeat Israel through superior tactics or political cunning alone. According to the text, it was chosen, selected, deployed against the people who bore God's name, against the nation he had called out of Egypt, against the 12 tribes that traced their lineage to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob. And when it was finished, when 10 northern tribes had been scattered across the ancient Near East, when Samaria had fallen, when 185,000 Assyrian soldiers lay dead outside the walls of Jerusalem in a single night, the question that remained was not a historical one, it was a theological one. Why would God do this? This is the story of the Assyrian Empire. We are going to move through 5 chapters of this story. The first, the origin, who Ashur was, where Assyria came from, and what the biblical genealogy says about its founding. The second, the war machine, how Assyria became the most feared empire in the ancient world, and what made its military system unlike anything Israel had ever faced. The third, the breaking, the fall of Samaria in 722 BC, the deportation of the 10 northern tribes, and the night Sennacherib camped outside the walls of Jerusalem. The fourth, the evidence, what archaeologists have found in the British Museum, in the ruins of Nineveh, and in a discovery made just last year that confirms what the biblical text describes. And finally, the question that Assyria forces every one of us to answer, not about them, about us. To understand Assyria, you have to go back to the beginning. And the beginning is not in the annals of Assyrian kings. It is in Genesis 10, the Table of Nations. The genealogy that most readers skip. In Genesis 10, verse 22, there is a name, Ashur, son of Shem, grandson of Noah. He is listed alongside his brothers Elam, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. 5 names, 15 words. And then the text moves on. But those 15 words contain the origin of the empire that will eventually destroy the northern kingdom of Israel. The Hebrew name is Ashur. At its root, it refers to the flat river valleys between the Tigris and the Euphrates, the land where Ashur's descendants settled, the land that would become Assyria. Now look at Genesis 10:11, just a few verses later. From that land he went into Assyria and built Nineveh, Rehoboth-ir, Calah, and Resen between Nineveh and Calah, that is the great city. The founding of Nineveh, the capital city that will become the seat of Assyrian power, is traced directly to the descendants of Shem in the generation immediately following the flood. This is not an accident of geography. This is a family story, because Shem is also the ancestor of Abraham, which means Assyria and Israel share a common ancestor. They are not strangers, they are cousins, and that matters, because what the Assyrians will do to Israel in the 8th century BC is not what one foreign empire does to another foreign empire. It is what one branch of a family does to another branch. Stop there. That is not a military invasion. That is a family destroying itself. By the 9th century BC, the descendants of Ashur had built something extraordinary. Nineveh sat on the eastern bank of the Tigris River, in what is now northern Iraq, near the modern city of Mosul. At its height, Nineveh had a population estimated at 120,000 people. Its walls ran 8 miles in circumference, 15 gates, gardens, aqueducts, royal archives. The Assyrian king Ashurbanipal assembled in Nineveh what may have been the first systematically organized library in human history. Over 30,000 clay tablets, including copies of the Epic of Gilgamesh. This is not a barbaric people. This is a civilization, which makes what comes next all the more significant. The Assyrian military system was not simply powerful, it was engineered to break nations. And the key to understanding it is a practice that no other empire in the ancient world had institutionalized to the same degree. Systematic deportation. When the Assyrians conquered a territory, they did not simply extract tribute and leave. They extracted the people, specifically the educated class, the craftsmen, the administrators, the priests, the military commanders, the people who held the institutional knowledge of a civilization. They were removed and resettled in distant provinces of the empire. Foreign populations were brought in to replace them. The Hebrew word used in the biblical texts to describe this process is galah. It means to uncover, to expose, to strip bare. Not merely to move someone to expose them, to remove the covering that identity, land, and heritage provided. That is not relocation. That is erasure. The Assyrian kings refined this system over 3 successive reigns in the 8th century BC. Tiglath-Pileser III came to power in 745 BC. He reorganized the Assyrian military into a professional standing army, not a seasonal conscript force, but a permanent war machine. He introduced iron-tipped weapons at scale. He developed siege technology, battering rams, siege ramps, movable towers that could breach walls previously considered impregnable. And he began targeting Israel. In 733 BC, Tiglath-Pileser moved against the northern territories of Israel, the tribe of Naphtali, the region of Galilee. He deported the population and annexed the territory directly into the Assyrian provincial system. The text in 2 Kings 15:29 records this in one sentence. One sentence. For the destruction of an entire region, his successor was Shalmaneser V. In 724 BC, Shalmaneser marched against Samaria, the capital of the northern kingdom. He laid siege to the city. The siege lasted 3 years, 3 years of complete encirclement, no supplies entering, no people leaving. The city held, but it could not hold indefinitely. Shalmaneser died before the end came, and his successor Sargon II completed what Shalmaneser had started. In 722 BC, Samaria fell. Sargon II records it himself in his Royal Annals clay tablets discovered by archaeologists in the 19th century. He claims to have deported 27,290 people from Samaria. He resettled them across the empire in Hala, in Gozan, on the Habor River, in the cities of the Medes. The 10 northern tribes of Israel disappeared from recoverable history, not from archaeology. Not from the biblical text, but from any traceable identity as a distinct people. They became what historians have called the 10 lost tribes, absorbed into the populations of the ancient Near East over the following generations. Stop there. This is not a minor historical footnote. This is the end of the northern kingdom of Israel, the kingdom that had existed for over 2 centuries since the division following Solomon's death, the territory that contained the cities of the patriarchs. The land of Elijah, the land of Elisha, gone. Sargon II then brought in foreign populations from Babylon, from Cutha, from Avva, from Hamath, from Sepharvaim, and resettled them in the cities of the former northern kingdom. These mixed populations would eventually become what the New Testament calls the Samaritans, which is why, by the time of Jesus, the hostility between Judeans and Samaritans was not simply ethnic. It was the residue of an Assyrian policy carried out 700 years earlier. But the southern kingdom, Judah, remained. Jerusalem still stood. And 20 years after the fall of Samaria, Sennacherib turned his attention south. In 701 BC, Sennacherib marched into Judah. He records in his own annals a document now held in the British Museum that he captured 46 walled cities. That he shut up Hezekiah, king of Judah, like a bird in a cage, that he took 200,150 people from Judah as prisoners and plunder. He besieged Lachish, he besieged Libnah, and then he moved toward Jerusalem itself. Hezekiah did something that no military strategist would recommend. He went into the temple. He spread Sennacherib's letter before God on the floor, and he prayed. The answer came through the prophet Isaiah. Therefore, thus says the Lord concerning the king of Assyria, he shall not come into this city, or shoot an arrow there. By the way that he came, by the same he shall return. That night, 2 Kings, 1935, the angel of the Lord went out and struck down 185,000 soldiers in the camp of the Assyrians. In the morning, they were all dead. Sennacherib returned to Nineveh. He never came back to Jerusalem. And shortly after, he was assassinated by his own sons in the temple of his god Nisroch. The empire that broke Israel could not take Jerusalem. Here is what makes the Assyrian account different from many ancient narratives. We have their own documentation. In 1830, a British archaeologist named Austin Henry Layard excavated the ruins of Nineveh. He found, among other things, a 6-sided baked clay prism inscribed with the annals of Sennacherib. It is known today as the Taylor Prism. It sits in the British Museum. On that prism, Sennacherib describes his campaign against Hezekiah in detail. He lists the cities he captured. He describes Hezekiah sending tribute to Nineveh after the campaign.
He says he shut Hezekiah up like a bird in a cage. What he does not mention is the 185,000 dead. He does not explain why he left without taking Jerusalem. He does not record the retreat. That silence is its own kind of evidence. Sennacherib did not record failures. No Assyrian king did. So, the complete absence of any account of capturing Jerusalem in a document that records everything else about the campaign is archaeologically significant. At Lachish, the second most fortified city in Judah, archaeologists have excavated Sennacherib's siege ramp. It is still there, an enormous sloped earthwork constructed against the southwest corner of the city wall, built from over 1,000,000 stones. The Lachish reliefs, a series of carved stone panels that once decorated Sennacherib's throne room at Nineveh, depict the siege in extraordinary detail. Us to confront not the archaeological question, not the historical question, the theological one. Why did God use Assyria? Isaiah 10 gives the answer, and it is not a comfortable one. Woe to Assyria, the rod of my anger, the staff in whose hand is my indignation. Against a godless nation I send him, and against the people of my wrath I command him, to take spoil and seize plunder, and to tread them down like the mire of the streets. God is describing the Assyrian Empire as an instrument, a rod, a staff, a tool directed against his own people for a specific purpose. But then 3 verses later, he says this, but he does not so intend, and his heart does not so think. But it is in his heart to destroy and to cut off nations, not a few. Stop there. The Assyrians did not know they were God's instrument. They were not acting in obedience. They were acting in conquest, in pride, in the pursuit of territory and tribute and power. Sennacherib did not march against Israel because God told him to. He marched because empires march. And yet God used that march. He directed that instrument, without removing Assyria's agency, without making them righteous, without excusing what they did. That is a doctrine that requires sitting with, because it raises the question that Israel must have asked in the ruins of Samaria in the years of exile, in the silence that followed the loss of 10 tribes. If God is sovereign over the nations, if he can deploy an empire against his own people, what does that mean when the discipline comes? The answer comes unexpectedly. Not from a prophet of Judah. It comes from Jonah. Before Assyria destroyed the northern kingdom, before the siege ramps and the deportations and the clay prism, God sent a reluctant prophet to Nineveh, not to record its judgment, to offer it a chance. And Nineveh, the capital of the most feared empire in the ancient world, repented, from the king to the livestock, in sackcloth, with fasting. Genuinely. Jonah was furious because he understood what that repentance meant, that the nation he wanted destroyed was being shown mercy. Instead, God's answer to Jonah, should I not pity Nineveh, that great city in which there are more than 120,000 persons who do not know their right hand from their left? The rod was not beyond mercy, but the rod did not escape judgment. In 612 BC, Nineveh fell to a coalition of Babylonians and Medes. The city was burned, flooded, and buried so completely that its location became unknown. For over 2,000 years, scholars debated whether Nineveh had even existed. It was only in the 19th century that Laird's excavations confirmed it. The prophet Nahum had predicted this, not with regret, with precision. The nation that God used to break his people was not therefore exempt from being broken itself. The instrument does not escape the hand that held it. The Assyrian Empire lasted for 3 centuries. It deported nations. It erased identities. It scattered 10 tribes of Israel across the ancient Near East and filled their cities with strangers. And it did all of this, according to the text, within the knowledge and permission of God.
Okay, what you think?
Shalom. But Leonard, I think this was just like we say, another one of those missing links. That those other nations come from Shem. I mean, because I know I didn't know that.
Exactly.
before you brought that forth, as well as the Chaldeans.
Exactly. And then now you see where that the so-called lost tribes come from, because we know that when Cyrus came, he called all them people back, told them they can go back to Jerusalem, because at that point Cyrus got control of those what the Syrian king had. He got control of what Nebuchadnezzar had. So he got control of the 10 tribes. So he told them in Second King, and he told them he told them that in Prince Ezra, you can all go back, all the Israelites, because he got control of them. He got control of 100. And a lot of people don't get that, but he got control of 100 and he got control of 172 provinces. All the provinces, everything that we just heard that Nebuchadnezzar conquered, Cyrus received it when he came in and he conquered the Babylonians. Okay, so he got control of them. So when you go to Ezra chapter 1, when Cyrus make the proclamation from Daniel 9:25, he got he understand that he got control of all the Israelites, which exactly that was part of his destiny, to release the 12 tribes from Babylon. Okay, got anything on that?
And Shalom, yes sir. And brother Leonard, when I had and just talking to other people sometime and watch other videos on YouTube, some people don't think or realize that like you just said, like the 10 tribes were in Assyria, and then Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, or this other kingdom was in Babylon. But it's during the same time frame, right?
Exactly. And then you have to look at, let's read that in second. Let's read it and then another thing to notice too, what we saw the Edomites, what we saw the Greeks do, and what we saw these people just done to us when they came and got us from the west coast of Africa. It ain't just started. We see right here the Syrians was doing that,
Right.
taking people out of their land and trying to erase their identity. So they got it from, we go way back. But I'm over in first. I'm over in Ezra right quick. And we deal with this right quick. Okay. Ezra, it says, this the proclamation from Daniel 9:25. That, like I was saying, it's not JC. The Messiah that's in Daniel 9:25 is Zerubbabel. Okay. But it says right here, chapter 1. Now, in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom. So all his kingdom is, he controlled 172 precincts. You got one of them is Shushan, that's a precinct, and then you got the Syrian precinct. That's where the 10 tribes is. Then you got the southern kingdom is in Shushan, in that province, the Babylonian province. So he told them, you keep reading in verse 2, thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven have given me all the kingdoms of the earth. So he control all of them. And he have, including where Israelites, these 10 tribes at. And he have charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judea. At this point, all 12 tribes is in captivity under him, because he controlled the whole world, known world. Verse 3, he says, who is there among you of all my people, all his people? That means all 12 tribes under his control. His God be with him. Let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judea, and build the house of the Lord the God of Israel, he is the God, which is in Jerusalem. Then he goes on, verse 4. And whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourned, let the men of his place help him with goods, with beasts, besides the freewill offering and the house of God that is in Jerusalem. So we see right here, it's all of them. All 172 precincts. He controls them. And that means that he controls the entire nation of Israel. And he makes the proclamation, which is the commandment from Daniel 9:25 for all of them, all Israelites, all the most high people can go back to Jerusalem. Okay, that make any sense?
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. And shalom, brother Leonard, and just to it also made me realize. I mean, it's like he only really dealing with like Adam's seed still, the Lord of Hosts, like dealing with the
Right,
Assyrians and all of them.
right.
You know, another thing about
Right,
the people not being included. You know.
right, exactly. Yeah, like I was saying, once you understand what these people done, now you see why they chose Jonah because Jonah was the Israelite, then he was sent to Israelites. You see that?
Right. Sure.
Yeah, because Jonah had nothing to do with JC, but they chose that story. You know, like I said, they chose the narrative because Jonah was in the well for 3 days and 3 nights. They chose that to put that on then stick that label on JC that he gonna be in the earth 3 days and 3 nights. But you can see the story right there. Jonah, it ain't got nothing to do with him. He sent Jonah to the Syrian to Nineveh because they are Hebrews. And that's what he is, right? Then the shipmates and the people, the men on the boat, say he's a Hebrew.
Exactly. Yes,
When
sir.
he try to hide, yeah, okay, yeah. That's something.
Right.
Right. So with that being said, we're gonna go to our Q&A. Any questions, any comments, any dialogue, or any testimony? Got anything you want to shine a light on?
Yes, sir, brother Leonard. I got just a question about in Daniel 8, verse 25, and Daniel 8, verse 11, and
Okay.
yes, sir, and just about who these beings are. And so Daniel 8 and 11 says, "Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down." And then so my question is, Brother Leonard, what's going on in this verse? And then who is the prince of the host, and who's magnifying himself against him?
Okay. Where you at? What chapter?
I'm sorry, Daniel 8 in verse 20, Daniel 8 verse 11, and then Daniel 8 verse 25.
Yeah, that's the Antioch Epiphanes. That's play. They get played out they get played out over in First Maccabees. See, that's what that is. Daniel, what 8 and 7.
8 in verse 11.
Okay, let me get it.
Sure.
So we see right here. Okay, 8:11. It says when you first up my title over that chapter 8, Daniel's vision of the ram and eagle. So that's the Greeks, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
So we see that okay, with the Greeks and the Romans. No, I'm gonna read it. Say in the third year in the reign of Belteshazzar, you know who that is? That's the last king of the Medes and Persians. I mean last king of the Persians. And the Belteshazzar, the vision appeared unto me, even unto Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in the vision, and it came to pass when I was uh, at Shushan, this is one of the provinces I just talked about, in the palace, which is in the province, there it is, of Elam. And I saw in a vision, and I was by the river Eula, when I lifted up mine eyes, and I saw, and behold, there stood before me a ram, which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher one came up last. That's the second beast. That's the Medes and Persians. Okay? I saw the ram pushing westward and northward, southward, so that no beast could stand for him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will and became great. That's the Medes and Persians. They rose up out of, and they destroyed the Babylonian kingdom. And as I was considering, behold, a he-goat, this is the third beast, came from the west, or the face whole, or the face of the whole earth, and he touched not the ground. That's a, the blitzkrieg. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes, and he came. The notable horn is Alexander the Great, and he came to the ram that had two horns, which which he sees standing before him before the river, and he ran under him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with clover against him and smote the ram. This Darius, the last king of the Medes and Persians, and he broke his two horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground, and he stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver out of his hand. Right, so this the first king right here, Alexander. He doing all this. This the when the third beast met the second beast. Alexander subdued the second beast. Alexander the Great. Therefore, the he-goat waxed great. That's the Alexander. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken, so he died. And for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds, that his four generals. Alexander four generals that he gave his kingdom to, divided up nine, and out of one of them came forth a little horn. This Antioch Epiphanes, I told you in first Maccabees, came a little horn toward the south and toward the east and toward the pleasant land. Pleasant land is Jerusalem. Okay, and it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down, like this the prince, cast down some of the hosts and the stars of the ground and stomped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself, like you just read, he magnified himself to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. So you want to read that right there, understand that that's the first Maccabees, when Antioch Epiphanes came. You turn back, they got you thinking that's it gonna happen in the future with the Antichrist, but it's actually Antioch Epiphanes. And this whole story is in First Maccabees. He conquered Egypt, then he turned back and came to Jerusalem right here. And he magnified himself against the king, the Jerusalem, against the prince, David's lineage, and then they took over. They subdued them. They ran them out. They ran them into, like I said, 143 BC, ran them into Africa. And so if you keep going, this is the vision that he reading. Then the angel comes and he gives Daniel the understanding of it. And it came to pass in verse 15, when I Daniel had seen the vision, sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man, and I heard a man's voice between the banks of the Uliah, which called and said to Gabriel, make this man to understand. So Michael telling Gabriel to make Daniel understand. So he came near where I stood, And when he came, I was afraid, and I fell upon my face. But he said unto me, Understand, Son of man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. So this end right here is the end of the nation of Israel, not the end of the world. Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep with my face toward the ground, and he touched me, and he set me upright. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of indignation, for the time appointed, the end shall be. Now here you go. You break it down in plain understanding. The ram which I saw it having two horns are the kings of the Medes and Persians, the second beast. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn that between his eyes is the first king, it's Alexandria. Now, that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of their nation, out of the Greek nation. That's these four generals. When Alexander died, his kingdom was divided with these four generals. We still in the Greek kingdom. 23. And at the latter time of their kingdom, the Greek kingdom, when the transgressors are come to a full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. That's Antioch Epiphanes. And he's the one that over in Daniel 11, yay. And he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. So Antioch Epiphanes magnified himself against the seed of David that's in the throne in Jerusalem. Okay? That's what it's telling you. And he have 11, yay. Let me see where I was at. Shit. Okay, 8, yeah, it says now, 22, now that I being broken, 23, and in the latter times of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to a full, the king of fierce countenance, understanding dark sentences shall stand up, Antiochus. Like I said, all you have to do is go read First Maccabees. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy wonderfully, he shall prosper, practice, he shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. So he destroyed the Israelites. That's in 143 BC, not 70 AD. And through his policies, also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify, like we just read in Daniel 11, he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace he shall destroy many, and he shall also stand up against the prince, that's what we just read, 11. Yea, he shall magnify himself to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. So we see the David that's on the throne at the time when Antioch Epiphanes came, is the one that Antioch Epiphanes is magnifying himself against, which is he actually magnified himself against the God of Israel, because the God of Israel is source behind the house of David. Okay.
Shalom, yes, sir. Makes sense.
Okay.
Sure.
Got anything else?
Shalom, I'm good.
Okay, so play this right quick. Okay, let me see. Here we go.
Just when you thought the Middle East conflict couldn't get any more complex, a massive global superpower has officially stepped onto the battlefield, diplomatically at least. Russia has launched a blistering diplomatic offensive against Israel, throwing its weight entirely behind Lebanon and demanding the immediate, unconditional withdrawal of the Israel Defense Forces from Lebanese territory. For weeks, Washington has claimed to be the primary architect of peace in the region, hosting multiple rounds of ceasefire talks at the State Department. But Moscow just completely blew up that narrative. Speaking at an emergency session at the US Security Council, Russia's US envoy Vasily Nebenzia didn't hold back. He openly declared that the US brokered ceasefires are nothing more than a smokescreen, a clever diplomatic cover designed to mask what he called Israel's creeping aggression and scorched earth strategy in southern Lebanon. According to Russia, Israel's military ambitions have grown far past their original parameters. While Tel Aviv initially claimed its buffer zone would stop at the Litani River, Russian intelligence points out that Israeli troops are now pushing past the Zerani River, flattening entire villages and forcing over 1 million Lebanese citizens to flee their homes. The turning point for Moscow came when Israeli forces captured the historic Crusader fortress of Ofed Castle and raised the Israeli flag over it, a highly symbolic move that revived dark memories of Israel's decades long occupation of the South. But Russia isn't just throwing insults, they are citing international law. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova formally announced that any path to peace requires an immediate Israeli retreat and a strict return to United Nations Security Council Resolution 1701. For context,
So what happened is Russia stepped in and cut off Israel, the Israeli forces that's demolishing Lebanon. Okay, did you hear anything about that?
Shalom, no sir. So you said Russia stepped in to stop the Israel attack against Lebanon?
No, they was already. We was talking about the other day how they planted the flag over there with his castle, where claiming the territory like back in the day, the way
Right.
that Christopher Columbus and them, they would go to a country and put a flag down and claim it. So
Right.
Russia stepped in and told him he demanded immediate Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon. And that's
Right, that is. Yeah, something gonna come of that. More conflict.
okay. Well, yeah, so my topic for discussion is these data centers, right? Like I've been saying, they go to DAG, and like I say, this got to be right around the corner. Believe me, based off what we just saw and all that. But let's check this out. This is crazy. Yeah. There we go. Got his shoes up.
Data centers are popping up all over the country, thousands of them.
Utah could soon be home to one of the nation's most advanced data centers.
Developers of a data center that broke ground today say that it will be the largest infrastructure deployment in the United States.
We've seen data center proposals and projects pop up all around the metro, and today officials broke ground on one of them, a data center in Independence. The Nebius AI data center will become a reality thanks to $150 billion in bonds.
They're telling us all of this is necessary because we are in an existential arms race against China.
We are leading China by a lot in the AI race, and whoever wins the AI race, and we're going to win it.
When President Trump took office, he gave us all a monumental task. He said we have to make America the world leader in artificial intelligence.
The president wants us to be pro-innovation. He wants us to win the AI race against all other countries in the world. He recognizes that AI is going to be an important tool, not just for our economy, but for our military. And so he wants to ensure that we are winning that particular race.
They also tell us that in order to win this race, we must build more data centers. Trillions of dollars worth more.
We have a race to be the AI capital of the world, and we have to win it. We have all sorts of different investment coming in. It's amounting into the trillions, where ground is already being broken for data centers across the country.
I'm here in Mansfield, Georgia, driving by Meta's new 2 million square foot data center facility. Facilities like this are being used to power things like ChatGPT and other AI tools that are becoming integrated into our daily life.
So that's what they're telling us. We need trillions of dollars worth of data centers to power ChatGPT. But is that actually true? Because as it stands, the U.S. already has 5,000 data centers in operation, 10 times more than the next country, Germany, which is just over 500. Big bad China is at number 4 with
America got 5,381 data centers. The next in line is Germany with only 500. Let that firm make, but let's keep going.
449 data centers. In fact, we have more data centers than the next 9 countries combined. And this next part is what truly does not make any sense. Based on the latest estimate, in addition to the 5,000 data centers that we already have, nearly 3,000 new data centers are under construction or planned across the United States. The math just ain't mathing. And believe me, I am not the only one noticing. Could all of this just be a cover story? What if the AA arms race isn't with a foreign adversary at all? What if it's actually preparing for something else? Something much closer to home? During the Vietnam War, the NSA ran a secret domestic espionage program called Project Minaret, whereby the agency intercepted thousands of communications, specifically targeting American anti-war activists, civil rights leaders, and political journalists. Decades later, as the U.S. was engaged in the Iraq War, AT&T collaborated with the NSA to install fiber optic splitters at its facility in room 641A at 611 Folsom Street in San Francisco, allowing the agency to mirror and analyze all internet traffic passing through the building, capturing both domestic and foreign communications without a warrant. Now, fast forward to today, the Anti-Defamation League, with massive federal backing, is actively tracking thousands of what they deem to be quote-unquote anti-Semitic incidents across the country, which includes anti-war protests and pro-Palestine rallies, calling these incidents a threat to national security.
Number 1, we need NYPD back on this campus or bring in the National Guard.
The difference between then and now, though, is that targeted wiretaps and communication intercepts were more than sufficient because dissent was highly centralized. Today, that is not so easy. Anyone with a smartphone is now potentially a vector to instantly spread ideas that the government or other powerful lobbying groups could deem a threat to national stability. I think you know where I'm going with this. They're not building AI data centers. They're building AI surveillance centers, allegedly. Now, before we continue, I just want to really quickly tell you about I pretty much don't do them. Securing your digital footprint is too important to ignore right now. I trust.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
I want to show you something real quick.
Check this
The
out.
implied return on hyperscaler AI investment, 2025 to 2030. What do you see that's wrong with this picture? There's no money to be made. According to the Financial Times, who are using what they call, quote, the most generous assumptions, the biggest tech companies invested in AI are not projected to make any money. Microsoft AI ROI at negative 9%, Google is at negative 15%, Meta at negative 28%, Oracle at negative 35%. Only Amazon barely comes out positive. And even they have major reservations about AI from a commercial perspective.
I was in a group, a leadership group, and people were telling me, they're like, we think that with AI, we can replace all of our junior people in our company. I was like, that's one of the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And yet they want to build 3,000 more data centers. That doesn't make any sense.
8,000.
Unless what they're using them for is not in a commercial context.
Here we go.
If you know what I mean.
Larry Ellison.
Come on.
Second richest person on earth, who's gobbling up a lot of the media in this country, who is a major investor in AI, predicts an AI-powered surveillance state is coming where, this is Larry Ellison, major investor, this is what he says.
Greater Israel.
Where citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that is going on, end quote.
Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
On July 13th, 2025, President Trump issued an executive order
Here we go.
accelerating federal permitting of data center infrastructure, where he declared, quote, we will pursue bold, large-scale industrial plans to vault the United States further into the lead on critical manufacturing processes and technologies that are essential to national security, economic prosperity, and scientific leadership. You hear that? Essential to national security. On March 20th of 2026, President Trump issues another press release unveiling his national AI legislative framework. again, where he reiterated his administration's commitment to winning the AI race to usher in a new era of human flourishing, economic competitiveness, and national security for the American people. There it is again, national security.
The president wants us to be pro-innovation. He wants us to win the AI race against all other countries in the world. He recognizes that AI is going to be an important tool, not just for our economy, but for our military. And so he wants to ensure that we are winning that particular race.
Doesn't sound like the AI race is at all about powering chatbots or other commercial enterprise use cases at all.
Exactly.
Seems like it's about national security. Question is, for which nation?
Congress is about to merge the U.S. military with Israel permanently, and they hid it inside of a 3,000-page bill.
The pro-Israel forces in Congress are trying to merge the U.S. and Israeli militaries. I'm not kidding.
If you actually look in to Section 224, you'll find it listed among the top priorities of the U.S. Congress. It's not just merging American troops and American military hardware with Israel. It's merging America's AI infrastructure and autonomous weapons systems with Israel as well. They keep telling us that all these data centers, thousands of them, they're vital to national security. Well, now, under the 2027 NDAA, Israel will gain access to them, which has always been the plan. These data centers, they aren't about powering ChatGPT on your smartphone. They aren't about keeping you safe. They're about powering a surveillance state that reports back to Greater Israel.
Back in March of this year, a hack in the Department of Homeland Security shone a light on the agency's AI surveillance ambitions, exposing over 1,400 funded contracts worth a combined $845 million, showing that the federal government is heavily funding private sector companies to develop advanced mobile biometrics, automated CCTV tracking, and predictive policing systems.
AI.
Now, publicly, we already know that the Pentagon has a $9 billion joint warfighting cloud capability contract with companies like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Oracle. Recent reports indicate that the sequel, dubbed JWCC Next, will similarly be a multi-award contract, but, quote, at a bigger scale than its predecessor. So while you might see the logos of Amazon or Google or Microsoft on the sides of these massive AI data center facilities the size of New York City, and this is important because functionally these buildings actually belong to the military surveillance industrial complex, and that is by design, as this arrangement, this public-private partnership, allows them to spy on you 24/7, allegedly, while laundering your Fourth Amendment protections through this private corporate shield, because technically they don't belong to the US government or military, which, oh, by the way, could be fusing with Israel. If you don't want them built, you're either a bot or a CCP spy. According to a new report from independent journalist Ken Klippenstein, a new congressional intelligence agency has just been created to track anti-AI data center protesters.
Protesters, activists, local citizens using their constitutional rights to say, hey, whether it's a city council meeting, whether it's a planning board meeting, saying we don't want these extractive technologies in our neighborhood, those organizations, those individuals are now being thrown into a huge dragnet under the category of anti-technology extremism. So whether that's people posting jokes online or on forums, saying, man, I hope this thing overheats and blows up so we don't have to stare at it every day and hear the hum, pulsating through our bones, or whether it's just, mom and pop store owners, farmers, you name it, organizing to show up to their local town hall to say, we don't want this in our community. Those people are being surveilled, those people are being criminalized.
This right here came by because I'm trying to organize a community protest against a representative who's trying to push in a data center owned by a out-of-state company, trying to suck up all our energy. I made a post, I made an event on Facebook trying to organize the community to get together. And what's your badge number? Name and badge number. Fucking, when did I ever go to his house?
I'll explain it to you more. Okay, so you're going to be placed under arrest right now, okay? All right.
That's right. If you don't like AI data centers, you're a terrorist. You don't like Israel, you're also a terrorist. Let me tell you, this type of framing directly mirrors how the state weaponized the war on terror to pass the Patriot Act in order to spy on ordinary American citizens.
But even here in the United States, if we're going to be building, let's say, these 1 gigawatt data centers,
how do we make sure we're not protecting those $50 billion, $75 billion investments? But we have to re-look at everything because of the role of drone warfare. Right now, we're looking at it internationally, but one of my concerns is, could it be a domestic terrorism using a $3,000 drone?
It couldn't be more crystal clear. We have their attention, and they are actually afraid. I know it may look doom and gloom, but the public is actually winning this battle.
Okay, so what you think? You said the rabbit out the rabbit came out of the hat?
Right, yes, sir. And that's how they need this to be able to round us up.
Exactly.
You know, all the people at.
Yeah, that's crazy, ain't it? Go right back to Pastor Manny. Well, yeah, ain't that something?
Yes, sir. It's crazy.
Okay. Well,
8,000 data centers.
8,000 data centers, man. Oh yeah, this can make all it. And it's, the crazy part about it, they try to slide in that, and you actually have down to 90% of the population. It's going right over their head. All of a sudden now you trying to merge Israel with, like the guy said, that's been the plan all along. Way back when you saw where this nut bucket had 30-some counts, federal criminal counts, to still won the presidency. All that was to get to this point right here. That's why he was doing it. Oh yeah, it's crazy, man. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and start reading out of 2 Kings. We're gonna read chapters 11 through 15. We're gonna read each chapter, and then we'll break it down, and go to the next one. Okay, you're gonna read the first 2 chapters, or you want me to read them, or?
Oh yes, sir. I'll go in first. And you said we had 2 Kings 11, right, Brother Leonard?
Right.
Okay, you're right. Okay, and it says when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, and she arose and destroyed all the seed royal. But
Okay.
Jehoshaphat, Shalom, I'm at the wrong one, brother.
Nah, go ahead.
Okay, my bad. But Jehoshaphat, the daughter of King Jerome, sister of Ahaziah, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and stole him from the king's sons, which were slain, and they hid him, even him and his nurse, in the bedchamber from Athaliah, so that he was not slain. And he was with her hid in the house of the Lord 6 years, and Athaliah did reign over the land. And the 7th year, Jehoiada sent and fetched the rulers over hundreds with the captains of the guard, and brought them to him into the house of the Lord, and made a covenant with them, and took an oath of them in the house of the Lord, and showed them the king's son. And he commanded them, saying, "This is the thing you shall do. A third part of you that enter in on the Sabbath shall even be keepers of the watch of the king's house, and the third part shall be at the gate of Sur, and the third part at the gate behind the guard. So shall ye keep the watch of the house, that it be not broken down. And 2 parts of all you that go forth on the Sabbath, even they shall keep the watch of the house of the Lord about the king, and you shall compass the king round about, every man with his weapons in his hand, and he that cometh within the ranges, let him be slain. And be ye with the king as he goeth out, and as he cometh in. And the captains over the hundreds did according to all these things that Jehoiada the priest commanded. And they took every man his men that were to come in on the Sabbath with them that should go out on the Sabbath, and came to Jehoiada the priest. And to the captains over hundreds did the priest give King David's spear and shields, and they were in the temple of the Lord. And the guard stood, every man with his weapons in his hand, round about the king, from the right corner of the temple to the left corner of the temple, along by the altar and the temple. And he brought forth the king's son and put the crown upon him, and they gave him the testimony, and they made him king and anointed him. And they clapped their hands and said, God save the king. And when Athaliah heard the noise of the guard and the people, she came to the people into the temple of the Lord. And when she looked, behold, the king stood by a pillar, as the manner was, and the princes and the trumpeters by the king, and all the people of the land rejoiced and blew with trumpets. And Atliah rent her clothes and cried, treason, treason. And Jehoiada the priest commanded the captains of the hundreds, the officers of the host, and said unto them, have her forth without the ranges, and him that followeth her kill with the sword. For the priest has said, let her not be slain in the house of the Lord. And they laid hands on her, and she went by the way by which the horses came into the king's house, and there was she slain. And Jehoiada made a covenant between the Lord and the king and the people, that they should be the Lord's people, between the king also and the people. And all the people of the land went into the house of Baal and break it down, his altars, his images, break they in pieces thoroughly, and slew Matan, the priest of Baal, before the altars. And the priest appointed officers over the house of the Lord. And he took the rulers over hundreds, and the captains, and the guard, and all the people of the land. And they brought down the king from the house of the Lord. And they came by the way of the gate of the guard to the king's house. And he sat on the throne of the kings. And all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city was in quiet. And they slew Atliah with the sword beside the king's house. 7 years old was Joash when he began to reign. And Shalom, that was 2 Kings 11.
You got anything on that?
Oh, no, sir. Go ahead, Brother Leonard. Well, Brother Leonard, I will say, so him being 7 years old too, I remember it was another king that was kind of young like this.
Right, that was when Nebuchadnezzar came.
Right.
I mean, let me see.
Is it?
Yeah, Nebuchadnezzar came and took. That was after Josiah died.
Okay.
And he took Jehoiakim. I think he's 8 years old.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. I remember it was under 10, and so that's crazy though. That I mean, he's actually reigning, brother. Like,
oh yeah, he's the king. Yeah, that's what I was saying about how we have no idea about those same men that in transatlantic slave trade and the way that they was treated and subdued. We have no idea who they are and the power that they was willing before they denigrated all that. Got you thinking that these men was people that lack no understanding and they hadn't accomplished nothing. But these are men, and their stories are right in this book. They excuse me, they disconnected them from the book. And the creator keep on saying over and over again, my sons. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you have to understand the power that they possess is the Lord of hosts instead of referencing them like that. They didn't made a serious fall from grace. And the average person had no idea. It's covered over under all this jargon with JC and all this bullshit. And the church and all that is that who the most high people really are is covered over. Okay? You gotta think about that. This boy is ruling at 7 years old. You gotta imagine his countenance.
Right.
And he ain't the only one. Ain't that something?
Right, yes, sir. That's
And a prime example of that is like, very few people understand it, and they're not in the place to connect the dots. Look what Moses did. The reason why Moses was tongue tied. When Moses was a little bitty boy, he took the crown off the Pharaoh head and put it on his. And so then all the Egyptians saying that they couldn't believe it but that's how that's the like he said, the guy was talking on the video the other day. They come to find out how wise and how smart and intelligent these Chaldeans is, but Nebuchadnezzar looked at the this Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they was 10 times wiser than the Chaldeans. And the Chaldeans and the men that was around Nebuchadnezzar was super sharp. But the Israelites was way 10 times wiser than them. So that comes about at birth. They distinguish like that. You got to understand the creator of all things is the one that formed them. And they his people. So you got to imagine what their capabilities was and their countenance. And that's why they so hated. Okay.
yes, sir. And that's powerful too, him being around and us being in the land. Yeah, that's not how it is right now.
Right. Right. We listen to that story all the time. I played the song of Susanna. Daniel was about 12 years old when that happened.
Right, yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You got anything else on that?
No, sir. In chapter 12, and it says, Joash's reign in the 7th year of Jehu, Joash began to reign. Joash began to reign, and 40 years reigned he in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Abiah of Beersheba. And Joash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord all his days, wherein Jehoiada the priest instructed him. But the high places were not taken away. The people still sacrificed and burned incense in high places. And Joash said to the priest, all the money of the dedicated, excuse me, and Joash said to the priest, all the money of the dedicated things that is brought into the house of the Lord, even the money of everyone that passeth the account, the money that every man is set at, and all the money that cometh into any man's heart to bring into the house of the Lord. Let the priest take it to them, every man of his acquaintance, and let them repair the breaches of the house, wheresoever any breach shall be found. But it was so that in the 23rd year of King Joash, the priest had not repaired the breaches of the house. Then the king Joash called for Jehoiada the priest and the other priests, and said unto them, why repair ye not the breaches of the house? Now therefore receive no more money of your acquaintance, but deliver it for the breaches of the house. And the priest consented to receive no more money of the people, neither to repair the breaches of the house. But Jehoiada the priest took a chest and bored a hole in the lid of it, and set it beside the altar on the right side, as one cometh into the house of the Lord. And the priest that kept the door put therein all the money that was brought into the house of the Lord. And it was so, when they saw that there was much money in the chest, that the king's scribe and the high priest came up, and they put up in bags, and told the money that was found in the house of the Lord. And they gave the money, being told, into the hands of them that did the work, that did oversight of the house of the Lord. And they laid it out to the carpenters and builders that wrought upon the house of the Lord, and to the masons and the hewers of stone, and to buy timber and hew stone, and to repair the breaches of the house of the Lord, for and for all that was laid out for the house to repair it. Howbeit, there were not made for the house of the Lord bowls of silver, snuffers, basins, trumpets, any vessels of gold or vessels of silver, of the money that was brought into the house of the Lord. But they gave that to the workmen, and repaired therewith the house of the Lord. Moreover, they reckoned not with the men into whose hand they delivered the money to be bestowed on the workmen. They dwelt faithfully. They dealt faithfully. The trespass money and the sin money was not brought into the house of the Lord. It was the priest. Then Azazel, the king of Syria, went up and fought against Gath and took it. And Hazazel, Hazazel set his face to go up to Jerusalem. And Joash, the king of Judah, took all the hallowed things that Jehoshaphat and Jehoram and Ahaziah, his fathers, kings of Judah, had dedicated in his own hallowed things, and all the gold that was found in the treasures of the house of the Lord and in the king's house, and sent it to Hazael, king of Syria, and he went away from Jerusalem. And the rest of the acts of Joash and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? And his servants arose and made a conspiracy and slew Joash in the house of Milo, which goeth down to Silla. For Joseph, Josephchar, the son of Shemith, and Jehozabad, the son of Shomer, his servants, smote him, and he died. And they buried him with his fathers in the city of David. And Amaziah, his son, reigned in his stead. And Shalom, that was 2 Kings chapter 12.
Okay. Got anything on there?
Brother Leonard, did I miss over what I must have read over and missed what this king did to be killed like this?
Oh, he sent all the, you just read it. You say it right here. It's starting at 17. And
Okay.
Hezekiah, king of Assyria, went up, fought against Gath, took it, and Hezekiah set his face to go to Jerusalem. Now he want to come destroy Jerusalem. Then this dude, the king of king of Judah, and Jehoash, king of Judah, took all the hollow things, the stuff, all the anointed things, all the anointed things of Jehoshaphat and Jehoram and Asher, all his fathers, David lineage, kings of Judah, and dedicated, and had dedicated in his own hollow things, and all the gold that was found in the treasure of the house of the Lord and in the king's house, and he sent it to Hezekiah. See that? Right. He ain't got no respect for the Lord of hosts. He ain't got no confidence in the Lord of hosts. So he gave him all this stuff to keep him from coming to Jerusalem and conquering it. Right. See that?
Right.
Then that's why he killed him. He had them come and kill him. See that?
Right. Yeah, yes, sir. Because I'm like, hold on, I know I just read that. But okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You want me to read 13 or you got it, brother?
Yeah, you can read it.
Yes, sir. So Jehoahaz's reign in the 3 and 20th year of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, king of Judah, Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, began to reign over Israel and Samaria, and reigned 17 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, and followed the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, which made Israel to sin. He departed not therefrom. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he delivered them into the hand of Hazael, the king of Syria, into the hand of Ben-Hadad, the son of Hazael, all their days. And Jehoaz besought the Lord, and the Lord hearkened unto him, for he saw the oppression of Israel, because the king of Syria oppressed them. And the Lord gave Israel a savior, so that they went out from under the hand of the Syrians, and the children of Israel dwelt in their tents as before time. Nevertheless, they departed not from the sins of the house of Jeroboam, who made Israel sin, but walked therein. And there remained the grove also in Samaria. Neither did he leave of the people to Jehoaz, but 50 horsemen and 10 chariots and 10,000 footmen. For the king of Syria had destroyed them and made them like the dust by threshing. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoaz and all that he did in his might, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Jehoaz slept with his fathers, and they buried him in Samaria. And Joash his son reigned in his stead. And in the 37th year of Joash king of Judah, began Jehoash the son of Jehoaz to reign over Israel in Samaria, and reigned 16 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from all the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel sin, but he walked therein. And the rest of the acts of Joash and all that he did in his might, wherewith he fought against Amaziah, king of Judah, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Joash slept with his fathers, and Jeroboam sat upon his throne. And Joash was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. Now Elisha was fallen sick, and his sickness whereof he died. And Joash the king of Israel came down unto him, and wept over his face, and said, O my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And Elisha said unto him, Take bow and arrows. And he took unto him bow and arrows. And he said to the king of Israel, Put thine hand upon the bow. And he put his hand upon it. And Elisha put his hands upon the king's hands. And he said, Open the window eastward. And he opened it. Then Elisha said, Shoot. And he shot. And he said, The arrow of the Lord's deliverance, and the arrow of deliverance from Syria. For thou shalt smite the Syrians in a feet till you have consumed them. And he said, Take the arrows. And he took them. And he said unto the king of Israel, Smite upon the ground. And he smote thrice and stayed. And the man of God was wroth with him. And he said, Thou shouldst have smitten 5 or 6 times. Then hadst thou smitten Syria till you hadst consumed it. Whereas now thou shalt smite Syria but thrice. And Elisha died, and they buried him. And the bands of the Moabites invaded the land at the coming of the year. And it came to pass, as they were burying a man, that behold, they spied a band of men, and they cast the man into the sepulchre of Elisha. And when the man was let down and touched the bones of Elisha, he revived and stood upon his feet. But Hazael, the king of Syria, oppressed Israel all the days of Jehoaz, and the Lord was gracious unto them, and had compassion on them, and had respect unto them, because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and would not destroy them, neither cast he them from his presence as yet. So Hazael, king of Syria, died, and Ben-Hadad, his son, reigned in his stead. And Jehoash, the son of Jehoash, took again out of the hand of Ben-Hadad, the son of Hazael, the cities which he had taken out of the hand of Jehoash, his father, by war. 3 times did Jehoash beat him, and recovered the cities of Israel. And Shalom. Now 2 Kings chapter 13.
Right. So when you come to the realization of like I said, we first got to realize JC had nothing to do with us. But then when you find out who the God of Israel is, that it's the Lord of hosts, that it's Michael, he's there. Notice how he's there. He's in all the affairs. You see that? It's just like at the White House, at the Oval Office in the White House, Trump the president, right?
Right, sir.
He always in there. Same right here. When you understand who our deliverer is, he's always around in the temple. We seen when the Syrian army came, what happened? He knocked off 185,000 people, didn't he?
Right.
And we see he always there, especially like he told them. If you're doing what I told you to do, if you're doing what I told David to tell you to do, if you do that, then you ain't gonna have no problem. And so even if when they don't do what he say, he the one going to get these other nations and bringing them there. You see that?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So here go a prime example there before I read these last two chapters. I'm gonna go to let me see where I need to go. Yeah, second. Thinking it's in Jeremiah. They got these books chopped all messed up, but I'm in Jeremiah, and let's see, Jeremiah. I'm looking for when Josiah died. That's in what? That's in Second King. Yeah, Second King. I'm tripping.
I
Josiah
think that's
died.
18, brother Leonard. I might be wrong.
Yeah, Josiah died. Okay. Josiah reigned over in 18. Then let's try Moses. Okay. Josiah, okay. Yeah, Death of Josiah. It's in 23 and 28. Yeah.
Right. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So now the rest of the acts of this is the last righteous king in Jerusalem. Now the rest of the acts of Josiah and all that he did, are they not written in the books of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? In his days, check it out. Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, went up against the king of Assyria to the river Euphrates, and King Josiah went against him, and he slew him against him, and he slew him in Megiddo when he had seen him, right? And his servants carried him in a chariot dead from Megiddo and brought him to Jerusalem and buried him in his own sepulchre. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz, right, son of Josiah, and anointed him and made him king of his father's stead. So what you have to understand right here, Jeremiah already told him, okay, that the Most High any nation finna come to a fool. So this the last. Josiah had the last righteous Passover and all that in Jerusalem, and so he died. Now we're gonna pick up the 31 and show you how like I'm talking about how the Lord of hosts works. So Josiah was 20 and 3 years old when he began to reign. So Josiah just died, right? He took over. Josiah just died. Was 20 and 3 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 3 months. See that? His indignation that came to a full. 3 months, 90 days. See that?
Right.
Jehoahaz was 20 and 3 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 3 months. in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Jehoiakim, daughter of Jehoiakim. So he wasn't there but 90 days. The Lord of hosts indignation came to a full. He finna wrap up. He finna cut the nation of Israel off. Now check it out. And Pharaoh Necho put him in bands. 90 days. For they put him in bands and Rehoboth in the land of Hamath, that he might not reign over in Jerusalem. It's the Lord of hosts doing this. And he put the land to a tribute of 100 talents of silver and talents of gold. And Pharaoh Necho made Elohim, see that? The son of Josiah, king of Judah, in the room of Josiah, his son, and turned his name to Jehoiakim, and took Jehoahaz away, and he came to Egypt, and he died there. And Jehoiakim gave the silver and the gold to Pharaoh, but just like the other guy, we saw. He didn't trust in the Lord. He want to pay his way out. So Jehoiakim gave the silver and the gold to Pharaoh, but he taxed the land to give the money to the Pharaoh. He exacted the silver and the gold of the people of the land, everyone according to his taxation, to give it to Pharaoh. Not for Yahweh, not for the Lord of hosts, but to give it to the Pharaoh. Okay? Then Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Zedekiah, whatever it is, daughter of Pinah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, and according to all that his father had done. So we see right here, the Most High, Lord of hosts, is directly interfering with it. He's wrapping it up. So, as soon as Josiah died, he had a son go on the throne where he wasn't never 90 days. He knocked him off, then he put this other boy up with Joachim. He wasn't there but 11 years. So, and then we understand right after that, that Nebuchadnezzar showed up. It says, in his days, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up to Jehoiakim, became his servant 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him. So he wrapping it up. Like I said, he's there. He's in the temple. It's like in Jerusalem. He got an office in Jerusalem, in the temple. He there, constantly there. And whether they do good, he bless them, or whether they do bad, he bring draw on them. You see that?
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I'm over in 2 Kings chapter 14. Amaziah reigned over Judah. In the second year of Joash, son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel, reigned. Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Jehonadab of Jerusalem. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, yet not like David, his father. He did according to all the things as Joash, his father, had did. Howbeit the high places were not taken away. As yet the people did sacrifice and burn incense on the high places. And it came to pass, as soon as the kingdom was confirmed in his hands, that he slew his servants which had slain the king, his father. But the children of the murderers he slew not, accordingly unto that which is written in the book of the law of Moses, wherein the Lord commanded, saying, the father shall not be put to death for the children, nor the children be put to death for the fathers, but every man shall be put to death for his own sin. And he slew of Edom in the valley of Salt 10,000, and took Selah by war, and called the name of Jechiel unto this day. Then Amaziah sent messengers to Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, come and let us look one another in the face. And Joash, king of Israel, sent to Amaziah, king of Judah, saying, the thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying, Give thy daughter to my son to wife. And there passed by a wild beast that was in Lebanon and trod down this thistle. Thou hast indeed smitten Edom, and thine heart hath lifted thee up. Glory of this, and tarry at home. For why shouldest thou meddle to thy hurt, that thou should fall, even thou and Judah with thee? But Amaziah would not hear. Therefore Jehoash, king of Israel, went up. He and Amaziah, king of Judah, looked one another in the face at Beth Shemesh, which belongs to Judah. And Judah was put to the worst before Israel, and they fled every man to their tents. And Jehoash, king of Israel, took Amaziah, king of Judah, the son of Jehoash, the son of Ahaziah, at Bethmesh, and came to Jerusalem, and brake down the walls of Jerusalem from the gate of Ephraim unto the corner gate, 400 cubits. And he took all the gold and silver and all the vessels that were found in the house of the Lord and in his treasury of the king's house and hosts, and returned to Samaria. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoash, which he did, and his might, and how he fought with Amaziah, king of Judah, are they not written in the books of the Chronicles of kings of Israel? And Jehoash slept with his fathers and was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel, and Jeroboam, his son, reigned in his stead. And Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah, lived after the death of Jehoash, son of Jehoash, king of Israel, 15 years. And the rest of the acts of Amaziah, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? Now they made a conspiracy against him in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lanchish. But they sent after him to Lanchish, slew him there, and they brought him on horses, and he was buried in Jerusalem with his fathers in the city of David. And all the people of Judah took Ahaziah, which was 16 years old, and made him king instead of his father Amaziah. He built Elath, and he restored it to Judah. After that, the king slept with his father. Jeroboam reigns over Israel. And in the 15th year of Amaziah, the son of Jehoash, king of Judah, Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, began to reign in Samaria, and he reigned 41 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, and he departed not from all the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. He restored the coast of Israel from the entering of Hamath into the sea, the plains, according to the word of the Lord God of Israel, which he spake by the hand of his servant Jonah, and the son of Amiddai the prophet, which was of Gahither. For the Lord saw the affliction of Israel, that it was very bitter, for there was not any set up, nor any left, nor any helper for Israel. And the Lord said not that he would blot out the name of Israel from under heaven, but save them by the hand of Jeroboam, the son of Joash. Now the rest of the acts of Jeroboam, and all that he did, and his might, how he warred, and how he recovered Damascus and Hamath, which belonged unto Judah, for Israel, and they not written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. And Jeroboam slept with his fathers, even with the kings of Israel, and Zechariah his son reigned in his stead. So that was chapter 14. You got anything on that?
Shalom, brother Leonard. I never knew the temple had got spoiled before. Like,
oh yeah, right, exactly.
yeah, Yes, sir. I
It's
wasn't
something to
aware
go
of this
back.
one.
It's something to go back and check out.
Right. Yes, sir.
Right. And something else I just caught that I might go look at verse 25. It says, let's go back to what I was saying about, it's way more chapters in Daniel than 12. They didn't hoodwink. But 25, he restored the coast of Israel from the inner end of Hamath unto the sea of the plains, according to the word of the Lord God of Israel. See that? According to the word God of Israel, which he spake by the hands of his servant Jonah. Jonah. Ain't that something?
Right. Yes, sir.
Come on.
And they got Jonah way back there.
Right. And then Jonah this ain't Nineveh. Jonah came to these people. Ain't that something?
Okay.
See what I'm saying? So it's something else. Oh, yeah. Let me mark that right quick. Ain't that something? So it got a you got a study Bible?
Right. Yes, sir.
You got a D in front of Jonah. What does it
Right.
say?
Oh, that the 25 and D. It take
Jonah 1 and 1.
1 and 1. Uh-huh.
What's that say?
Jonah should be right after Amos, right? And it says, now the word of the Lord came on to Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, and that's just verse 1. Then verse 2 says, arise to go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness has come up before me.
Right, so right here, this is before Jonah went to Nineveh.
Okay. Okay, right.
But like I said, look at the timeline.
Right.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm in chapter 15. Ahazah reigned over Judah in the 20th and 7th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, began as Azariah, son of Amaziah, king of Judah, to reign. 16 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 2 and 20 years, 2 and let me see, and 50 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Jecoliah of Jerusalem, and he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his father Amaziah had done, save that the high places were not removed. The people who sacrificed burnt offerings still on the high places, and the Lord smote the king so that he was a leper until the day of his death, and he dwelt in a several house, and Jonathan, the king's son, was over the house, judging the people of the land. And the rest of the acts of Ahazah, Azarah, and all that he did, are they not written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? So Azarah slept with his fathers, and they buried him with his fathers in the city of David. And Jonathan, his son, reigned in his stead. In the 30th and 8th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, did Zechariah, the son of Jeroboam, reign over Israel and Jerusalem 6 months. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, as his fathers had done. He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who had Israel to sin, who made Israel to sin. And Shulam, the son of Jabash, conspired against him, smote him before the people, slew him, and reigned in his stead. And the rest of the acts of Zechariah, behold, they are written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. This was the word of the Lord which he spake unto Jehu, saying, thy son shall sit on the throne of Israel until the 4th generation. And so it came to pass. And Shulam, the son of Jobash, began to reign in the 30th year of Uzzah, king of Judah, and he reigned a full month in Samaria. For Maham, the son of Gidai, went up from Tishnah and came to Samaria and smote Shulem, son of Jabesh, in Samaria, slew him and reigned in his stead. And the rest of the acts of Shulem and his conspiracy which he made, behold, they are written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. Then Manham smote Tiblisha and all that were therein, and the coast thereof from Chisra, because they opened not to him. Therefore he smote it, and all the women therein that were with the child he ripped up. In the 30th year of Ahazah, okay, king of Judah, began Maham to reign, Maham the son of Gidai to reign over Israel, and he reigned 10 years in Samaria. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not all his days from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. And Put, the king of Assyria, came against the land of Manna and gave him, let me see, his hand might be with him to confirm the kingdom in his hand, and made him exact the money of Israel, even of all the mighty men of wealth, of each man 50 shekels of silver, and gave it to the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria turned back and stayed not there in the land. And the rest of the acts of Menahem and all that he did, are they not written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Menahem slept with his fathers, and Peninnah his son reigned in his stead. And Pekahiah reigned over Israel. In the 15th year of Ahazah, king of Judah, Pekahiah the son of Menahem began to reign over Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 2 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. But Pekahiah, the son of Remelah, the captain conspired against him, smote him in Samaria in the palace of the king's house, and Argob and Arish, and with him 50 men of the Gideonites, and he killed him, and he reigned in his room. And the rest of the acts of Pekahiah and all that he did, behold, they are written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. In the 250th year of Ahaz, the king of Judah, Pekahiah the son of Remaliah began to reign over Israel and Samaria, and he reigned 20 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, and he departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. In the days of Pekahiah, king of Israel, came Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, took Ijon and Abel Beth Machala and Janiah and Kadesh and Hazer and Gilead, Galilee, and all the lands of Naphtali, and carried them captive to Assyria. And Hosea, the son of Eli, made a conspiracy against Pekahiah, son of Remaliah, and smote him, slew him, and reigned in his stead in the 20th year of Jeconiah, son of Uzzah. And the rest of the acts of Pekahiah and all that he did, behold, they are written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. In the 2nd year of Pekahiah, son of Remaliah, king of Israel, began Joachim, the son of Uzzah, king of Judah, to reign, 25 years old. Okay. Was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Jerusha, the daughter of Zabak. and he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. And he did according to all that his father Uzi had done. Albeit the high places were not removed, the people sacrificed and burned incense still in the high places. He built the higher gate of the house of the Lord. Now, the rest of the acts of Jotham and all he did, are they not written in the books of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? In those days, the Lord began to send against Judah Rezin, king of Assyria, and Pecan, the son of Remaliah, and Jotham slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. His father, and Ahaz, his son, reigned in his stead. Okay, you got anything on that?
But Leonard, aren't these guys? My fault for that feedback. Pika and Ramalia, aren't those guys talked about in Isaiah? Or
Yeah, Isaiah chapter 7.
right? Okay.
Right, exactly. That just brings that verse to light over there in chapter 7 because it ain't about JC. Had nothing to do with him. Oh, yeah.
Right. Nowhere.
You got something? Oh, yeah. And you notice they got 2 Jeroboams too. You see that, right?
All right. Yes, sir. I
You
was
got
noticing that.
Jeroboam of Nebat. You got Jeroboam of Nebat, and you got Jeroboam of Jabash.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So good.
Right. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna pick a scripture. We'll read that, break it down, then we'll close out.
Okay. And yes, sir. I got Isaiah 59, brother Leonard,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just these last 3 verses. Yeah. And it says, "So, so shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and His
Mm-hmm.
glory, yes, sir, and His glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him, and the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, saith the Lord. As for me, this is my covenant with them, saith the Lord. My spirit that is upon thee, and my words which I have put in thy mouth shall not depart from thy mouth, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, saith the Lord, from henceforth and forever. And shalom. That was Isaiah 59, verses 19 through 21.
Okay. You got anything on that?
And just Brother Leonard, you say how the Lord of hosts, he puts the words in the prophet's mouth.
Right.
You know, yeah, he says that right here. My spirit that is upon thee, my words which I have put in thy mouth.
Right.
Sir.
Exactly. Is that something?
Sir. You gotta worry about what you're gonna say.
Exactly. He gonna do it. He gonna do the talking. Okay. So with that being said, with nothing else to be discussed, we're gonna close out right here. And we have our women's advanced Bible study tomorrow night. The men can come in through YouTube, and then everything is reversed. On Friday night, we got the men's advanced Bible study, 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time, and women can come in through YouTube. So with that being said, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I'll see everybody for tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanak, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.